Hi guys, JT here, and now that the mystery game has been revealed, here's a more complete feature of the Humble Bundle Horror Icons Showcase Bundle of October 2025. To help you answer the question, should you buy it? Woo! By using links in the description below, you'll gain access to this bundle and support the channel in the process. Before I begin, I would like to thank you, the viewers, for watching my silly videos. I hope they're helpful. Most importantly, knowing that you're watching it means the world. Anyway, let's get into this. At number 1 we have The Thing Remastered. Night Dive Studios' polished revival of the 2002 cult horror game based on John Carpenter's classic film. You play as Captain J.F. Blake, a soldier sent to investigate the aftermath of the movie's events, commanding a small squad while managing fear, trust, and paranoia. Night Dive has done a remarkable job of modernizing the experience. Visuals are crisp, controls intuitive, and even the grotesque writhing body horror looks disturbingly fresh. It's a faithful restoration that plays smoothly and captures the game's eerie atmosphere with care. But while you admire its ambition, actually playing The Thing is another story. The early hours are tense and methodical, forcing you to comfort panicking teammates, ration ammo, and prove your humanity through blood tests. Then suddenly, the game loses focus. The suspenseful paranoia gives way to endless swarms of gun-toting soldiers and frantic firefights that drain the dread right out of the experience. Its squad trust system remains intriguing, but the combat-heavy second half feels like a relic of its era in the worst way. Still, as a historical artifact, The Thing Remastered is fascinating. You can see traces of Dead Space and other survival horror successors embedded in its DNA. It's not a must-play, but it's worth seeing, a preserved snapshot of early 2000s design ambition, lovingly restored. You may not want to endure every clunky firefight, but from a distance, The Thing remains something worth respecting. At number 2 we have Bendy, Lone Wolf, a game that drags you deep into the ink-soaked nightmare that made the Bendy franchise famous. But this time, it is just you, alone, hunted, and desperate to survive. Unlike the exploration-driven Bendy and the Ink Machine, this spin-off focuses on tense survival, stealth, and psychological decay. You play as a lone survivor trapped within an abandoned studio, scavenging for resources, crafting upgrades, and braving procedurally generated levels where every run feels different. You'll manage scarce supplies, slip into lockers to avoid grotesque ink creatures, and use makeshift weapons when escape isn't an option. Combat feels clunky by design, slow, loud, and nerve-wracking, to make every swing count. The AI can be wildly inconsistent, sometimes hunting you with pinpoint precision, other times missing you completely. Still, the unpredictability adds to the dread. Visually, Lone Wolf refines the series' sepia-toned cartoon aesthetic with modern lighting and grim detail. Flickering projectors, dripping ink, and warped cartoon monsters turn every corridor into a living nightmare. The sound design is masterful. Creaking machinery, distorted jazz records, and echoing footsteps amplify the tension until you're second-guessing every move. The home-based system and permadeath mode add replayability, though occasional pacing dips and repetitive scavenging can dull the momentum. Despite that, Bendy Lone Wolf succeeds where it matters most, immersing you in a world that's as stylish as it is terrifying. It is eerie, methodical, and drenched in atmosphere. If you crave survival horror with a nostalgic twist, you'll find this inky descent hard to put down. At number 3 we have The Mortuary Assistant Definitive Edition, a horror game that puts you in the shoes of a mortuary assistant working in a funeral home. The game's story follows your character as they begin to uncover dark secrets about the mortuary and the people who have been brought there. As you delve deeper into the story, you realize that something sinister is going on, and it's up to you to uncover the truth before it's too late. The gameplay in The Mortuary Assistant is a mix of exploration, puzzle solving, and survival horror. You'll need to explore the mortuary and surrounding areas to uncover clues and solve puzzles that will help you progress through the game. The puzzles are challenging and require a bit of critical thinking, but they're also rewarding once you figure them out. The horror in The Mortuary Assistant is intense and is sure to keep you on edge throughout the game. The game's atmosphere is dark and eerie, with flickering lights and creaking doors that add to the overall sense of dread. The game's sound design is also great, with eerie noises and haunting music adding to the overall sense of horror. One of the unique features of the Mortuary Assistant is the ability to interact with the bodies of the deceased. As a mortuary assistant, your job is to prepare bodies for funerals, and you'll need to do this in the game as well. This adds an extra layer of horror to the game, as you never know what you'll find when preparing a body. The game also features a stealth mechanic, where you'll need to avoid being caught by the game's antagonists. The game's enemies are terrifying and add to the overall sense of horror, as you never know when they'll show up. The Mortuary Assistant is a game that relies heavily on its story to keep players engaged. The game's story is dark and twisted, with themes of murder and supernatural entities. The game's characters are also well developed, with each one having their own motivations and backstory that adds to the overall narrative of the game. Overall, the Mortuary Assistant is a terrifying game that keeps you on edge throughout. The game's focus on exploration, puzzle solving, and survival horror combined with the intense horror make for a truly immersive experience. The game's unique feature of interacting with the deceased adds an extra layer of horror, and the game's story is engaging and will keep you hooked until the very end. If you're a fan of horror games and are looking for a game that will keep you on the edge of your seat, the Mortuary Assistant is definitely worth a playthrough. That is, if you don't die of fear first. This edition includes everything you loved about the Mortuary Assistant, only refined, expanded, and creepier than ever. You'll find new haunt events, extra bodies to embalm, and even an embalming only mode if you just want to focus on the craft. There's added lore, achievements, and smoother performance. It's the perfect reason to revisit Riverfields and face your fears all over again. You're not just embalming the dead, you're revisiting one of horror's most haunting experiences. And number 4 we have The Axis Unseen. The Axis Unseen is what happens when a heavy metal album cover becomes a survival horror hunting simulator. Brutal, haunting, and oddly beautiful. You play as a lone hunter, trapped in a strange realm where worlds collide and monsters roam freely. Armed with only a bow, a knife, and a few spirit arrows, you'll stalk terrifying creatures through dense forests, crimson swamps, and bone-covered wastelands. Every sound, from the crunch of your footsteps to distant thunder, feels alive, and every encounter can kill you if you're careless. What makes the Axis Unseen unique isn't just the combat, though that's tense and satisfying once you unlock new arrow types like fire or wind. It's how the world breathes around you. Skeletons the size of mountains, forgotten shrines, and eerie tattoos on your hand that glow when danger draws near. Exploration is essential and rewarding. Each discovery feels earned and fuels your evolution from terrified prey to dominant predator. The lack of a HUD keeps you immersed, forcing you to rely on visual and auditory cues. Yet this immersion comes at a technical cost. Inconsistent frame rates, occasional visual glitches, and buggy enemy AI. Still, even with those flaws, the Axis Unseen feels special, raw, atmospheric, and full of player-driven stories that happen naturally in its dangerous world. You'll curse, run, and burn monsters to ashes under lightning storms. And when the chaos settles, you realize this is not just a hunt. It's a primal, unforgettable experience. And number 5 we have Scorn, a surreal horror adventure that feels like a Harlan Ellison story come to life. This atmospheric first-person horror shooter draws inspiration from the artistry of H.R. Giger and Zedislaw Beksinski. From the moment you step into its nightmarish world, Scorn envelops you in an unsettling ambiance reminiscent of cosmic horror. The game's intricate design and haunting visuals transport you into the depths of an ancient, decaying civilization, where grotesque machinery and bizarre biological structures intertwine. Scorn's gameplay unfolds as a series of enigmatic puzzles and harrowing encounters, evoking the tension of classic survival horror. As you navigate through labyrinthine ruins, you'll uncover the mysteries of this forsaken realm, piecing together its dark history and unraveling its sinister secrets. Its ability to evoke profound emotions without relying on dialogue is absolutely remarkable. From moments of awe-inspiring wonder to gut-wrenching despair, the game's immersive world elicits a range of visceral reactions, leaving a lasting impression on your psyche. However, Scorn is not without its flaws. The game's checkpoint system, coupled with occasional technical glitches, can detract from the overall experience, leading to frustration and inconvenience. Yet, despite these shortcomings, Scorn's condensed focus and striking visual design make it a standout entry in the horror genre. Scorn may have its checkpoint woes and a relatively short runtime, but its visceral impact and artistic vision are undeniable. For those seeking a truly immersive and unsettling experience, Scorn delivers in spades, leaving an indelible mark on your psyche long after the credits roll. At number 6 we have STASIS Bone Totem, a game that offers a captivating adventure set in a future where religion, technology, and horror collide. You step into the shoes of Mac and Charlie, a husband and wife exploring the eerie Deep Sea 15 rig, alongside their robotic companion Moses. The game weaves a compelling narrative that continuously deepens, exploring themes of faith and spirituality in a world filled with eldritch horrors and unsettling imagery. The rich setting of the game stands out, combining futuristic technology with an antique, almost decrepit aesthetic. The dimly lit environments, often illuminated only by your flashlight, add to the sense of foreboding. The characters are memorable, with superb voice acting that brings them to life. Their interactions and the twists and turns of the story will keep you engaged throughout the game. STASIS Bone Totem excels in presenting a horror experience with violent imagery and otherworldly deformities, enhanced by unsettling animations and an effective background score. The gameplay, while typical for an adventure game, offers minor innovations, including unique item usage for each character. The puzzles are challenging, yet intellectually stimulating, requiring you to switch between characters to progress. Despite the game's excellence, it does have one notable glitch, which can be resolved by reloading a previous save. However, this minor issue doesn't significantly detract from the overall experience. In conclusion, STASIS Bone Totem is a hidden gem that skillfully blends sacred themes with a sinister atmosphere, providing a unique and engaging story to question the role of religion in the world beset by monstrous horrors. The well-developed characters and balanced gameplay, coupled with the suspenseful setting, make it an easy recommendation for both horror enthusiasts and open-minded adventure gamers. At number 7 we have Choo-Choo Charles, an original and enjoyable horror game developed and published by 2-Star Games. The protagonist finds themselves on an island plagued by an evil train named Charles, and their objective is to defeat him and restore peace. To draw Charles out of hiding, the player must locate 3 powerful eggs and use various weapons to destroy him. The game offers a mix of silliness and simplicity, providing a few hours of entertaining escapism. Players can explore the island on foot or use their own locomotive, which can be upgraded, customized, and armed with weapons. While Charles rarely attacks while on foot, encountering him means a frantic attempt to survive, or shoot at him from the safety of the train. Throughout the island, players encounter non-playable characters who provide optional quests, rewarding them with scrap metal to upgrade their train or unlock new weapons. Charles's followers, who are relentless in their pursuit, populate the mines where the eggs are located. Engaging them without the train can be frustrating, so leading them back to the train is essential for eliminating them. The game's final quests involve strategic planning, such as setting up explosives on a bridge to maximize damage in the climactic battle against Charles. While the game can be completed relatively quickly, engaging in optional side missions and collecting additional scrap metal strengthens the train and weapons, ensuring better chances of success. Choo-Choo Charles is a light-hearted horror experience that doesn't take itself too seriously. Despite some visual limitations and repetitive nighttime settings, the game's appeal lies in the fun of operating the train and utilizing acquired resources to defeat Charles. Its short length and streaming-friendly nature make it a must-play for fans of quirky, scary, and cult-style games like Deadly Premonition. At number 8 we have Bendy and the Dark Revival, a first-person survival horror set in the twisted halls of Joey Drew Studios, a place where nostalgia rots and ink runs thicker than blood. You play as Audrey, trapped in a nightmarish cartoon world where every creak of the floorboards might be the ink demon coming for you. You'll sneak through crumbling corridors, bash monsters with your trusty pipe, and use ink powers to uncover the truth buried in this surreal studio. The game's world drips with atmosphere. Every flicker of light and every echo of a projector feels intentional. Fans of BioShock will notice familiar DNA, upgrades, powers, and hidden notes that piece together a haunting story. The tension builds not from cheap scares, but from how unpredictable everything feels. You're never sure what's waiting beyond the next corner, and when the ink demon's warning flashes on screen, your pulse will spike. Not everything flows smoothly though. The save system can frustrate you, the stealth feels clunky, and respawning enemies sometimes turn tense exploration into busy work. Still, for every rough edge, there's a moment that pulls you right back in. A perfectly timed scare, a clever puzzle, or a haunting line from Audrey herself. Bendy and a Dark Revival is not flawless, but it's a bold, eerie, and surprisingly emotional return to an unforgettable world. You'll come for the horror, but stay for the ink-soaked mystery waiting beneath it. At number 9 we have Bendy and the Ink Machine, a first-person psychological horror game that drops you into the shoes of Henry Stein, a retired animator returning to the eerie, ink-soaked halls of his old studio. What begins as a nostalgic visit quickly unravels into a nightmare as the once beloved cartoon characters come to life in grotesque form. You'll explore a decaying animation studio, solve puzzles, and fend off twisted creations born from a mysterious ink machine. From the start, you'll notice clear Bioshock influences. Dim corridors, environmental storytelling, and a sepia-tone aesthetic that oozes atmosphere. The world design is genuinely captivating, and the music, paired with strong voice acting, adds a nice layer of tension. However, the game stumbles when it comes to its enemies and combat. Encounters often feel clunky, with repetitive melee fights and backtracking fetch quests that drag down the pacing. The Ink Demon, meant to be terrifying, becomes more of a routine obstacle than a true threat after a while. Despite its rough edges, Bendy and the Ink Machine still has charm. Its 1930s cartoon art style and twisted world building make it stand out among indie horror titles. The story, while simple, keeps you curious enough to see how it all ends, and the final twist ties the whole experience together nicely. If you can overlook some awkward mechanics and dated visuals, you'll find a creepy, creative journey worth exploring, one that proves even cartoons can bleed. And that's all for this bundle. This bundle just got even better with The Thing Remastered joining the lineup. A cult classic brought back to life. It's a creepy slice of early 2000s paranoia that still hits hard today, even if a little of that old school clunk remains. Its mix of squad trust, tension, and body horror adds real depth to an already stacked collection. This bundle is your ticket to a legendary horror fest packed with iconic scares and late night thrills. Don't miss it. Grab it now, and game like the night belongs to you. In any case, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if this video was helpful, feel free to leave a like and subscribe, and maybe consider buying the channel a coffee. From the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.